Welcome to This Week from Blue Mountain Broadcasting. I'm your host, Lynelle Ellis, and I'm so glad that you've tuned in. Today I'm going to be interviewing Groover Snell from Fort Walla Walla Museum. Really looking forward to catching up with him about what's happening at our local museum. And then, of course, I'll share some station news. Let's start now with a devotional thought. At Walla Walla University, I teach in a master's program called Cinema, Religion, and Worldview. And that term, worldview, is pretty important to me and something that's familiar and that I think about quite a bit. And it really has to do with the underlying presuppositions that we hold. These things that serve as a lens through which we see everything in the world around us. And this week, I've also been reading in the adult Sabbath school lesson that the Seventh-day Adventist Church prepares for its members so that they can study the Bible throughout the year. And this week's lesson addresses the topic of worldview. Of course, I found that really interesting. Perhaps the most foundational belief in my own worldview is that God created our world and all the people in it from the beginning of the earth until the present. And this belief that God got everything started affects how I see everything else. How about you? What's your worldview? Do you maybe hold some similar belief to that? One of the great philosophers of the past, Gottfried Leibniz, asked a very important question related to worldview that we all might consider. This is what he asked. Why is there something instead of nothing? According to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz was one of the great thinkers of the 17th and 18th centuries and is known as the last universal genius. He made deep and important contributions to the fields of metaphysics, epistemology, logic, philosophy of religion, as well as mathematics, physics, geology, jurisprudence, and history. Leibniz believed in God, and he recognized God as the answer to why there is something instead of nothing. He asserted that God created the best possible world. And the Bible also answers Leibniz's important question, why is there something instead of nothing? In Genesis 1:1, we read this, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." This simple and straightforward statement lays a foundation for all that we understand subsequently, everything that comes after. And there are other passages in the Bible that add to our understanding of God as creator. For instance, let's take a look at John 1:1 through 4. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him, all things were made, and without him, nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of mankind. And here we see Jesus described as God, present in the very beginning when everything was made. And now we go all the way to the end of the Bible, to the book of Revelation, Revelation 14:7. In this passage, we hear an angel proclaim the reason that we should worship God. Fear God and give him glory, because the hour of his judgment has come. Worship him who made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and the springs of water. We should worship the one who created us and all that we see around us. And I suppose it's pretty obvious that the idea of God as creator of the world is under attack today. And it really has been under attack for over 150 years now. And we probably shouldn't be surprised, because the Apostle Peter was writing directly about this when he was describing what the end times would be like. Here's what Peter says in 2 Peter. "Above all, you must understand that in the last days scoffers will come, scoffing and following their own evil desires. They will say, 'Where is this coming he promised? Ever since our ancestors died, everything goes on as it has since the beginning of creation. But they deliberately forget that long ago, by God's word, the heavens came into being and the earth was formed out of water and by water. That's from 2 Peter 3, 3-5. People deliberately forgot that God is the creator. But for those of us who hold a biblical worldview, God, as the creator of all that we see around us, is foundational. It is at the heart of everything we understand. Please stay tuned. I'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm here now with Groover Snell from Fort Walla Walla Museum. And Groover, it is great to have you on our program today.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
And we want to hear a lot more about what's going on with something that's very important and special here in our community. How long have you been working at the museum?
Well, I've been executive assistant there about 1.5 years now. But a couple of years prior, I was actually a full year there as an intern when I was going to college. And that was a really fun experience. I got to help with the research, making exhibits, and did a bunch of oral history interviews. And it was so fun. I came back and get to do a lot more there now too.
Very good. So you mentioned college. Did you study history in college?
Yeah, I studied biology and history. I thought they were both really interesting.
That's not the normal combination, yeah. I might add. As a college professor, we don't see that combination too often.
Yeah, well, they both kind of tell us a little about how humans work and how everything fits together, I guess.
They do.
Yeah. But I guess history won out because I work at the museum and it's a great place to be. So.
Very good. So is the museum open to the public right now?
Yeah, since September we've opened up Friday, Saturday, Sunday, noon until 5, and that's just regular visitation. We used to be open every day, but now with COVID, it's harder. We're past the tourist season. And there's some extra costs with keeping everything clean and more staff out front to deal with guests. So we've done that limited weekend reopening.
Mm-hmm. So that takes in people who come to Walla Walla to visit on the weekend, and
we get a good mix of maybe about half tourists from out of town and about half local, and we like having both of those.
You recently had some very interesting tourists come.
Yeah, it's really great to be open in person because it's a unique experience and it's really touches people in a way. We had a family, 2 daughters and their dad. He was about mid to late 90s. They came all the way from Idaho because they knew we had this agriculture equipment.
Yes.
And really we have very large agriculture exhibit. They came from Idaho because this dad, he had been on lockdown in his nursing home, and the daughters didn't get to see him for months on end. And finally they opened up a bit, so they figured, we better do something with him now, So they drove here and walked around the exhibits because he used to work on farms with this sort of stuff. So they walked around and actually recorded him talking about this and his memories. And to share with the whole family and to preserve that history, and that's a special kind of experience for their whole family, and that's what the museum can do, and we're really honored to provide that for the community and for guests to learn more about our area and to learn more about their own families even.
That's really beautiful. I bet he had some very unique and interesting memories related to the equipment that he was seeing there.
Yeah.
We all know how certain objects and things that have been a part of our past can really trigger for us a lot of meaningful memories.
Mm-hmm.
So that's neat. So what's new at the museum these days?
Well, we have a new exhibit in the Grand Hall on women's suffrage, because this year actually marked the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, so the national women's suffrage, and the 110th for the state of Washington. So we were ahead of the country there.
That's perfect.
Yeah. So we have an exhibit about that with some nice visuals. And we're also doing a lot more digital things. We started, when we first closed down, we put together this virtual school tour. Usually we get about 5,000 kids a year coming through, and we
That's
have
a lot.
volunteer docents that take them around on tours. And we already had 3,000 scheduled just for the spring that we all had to cancel, unfortunately. But we knew we needed to help students and teachers, as this tough new learning environment. So we filmed some docents really quick with the little skills and equipment that we had, but we put it together on our website and we got some good feedback. About 1,400 people watched that, which I think is pretty good for a brand new thing.
Yes.
And teachers assigned it in some cases. And then over the summer, we got a grant from Humanities Washington to get newer, better equipment and some training. And actually, your own Daniel Biggs helped train us in the filming and in the editing.
Very good.
So it's been, very fun. Actually, it's a nice silver lining to all this. We're learning new skills, and we get to do more creative things in order to keep serving people, while we were closed, and even now we still can't have normal events in person. So we have digital events now, webinars instead of our after-hours lectures.
Yes.
So every month, last Thursday of the month, we have those, and people can register for those on our website in advance.
Okay, say a little bit more about that, because I wasn't aware that these webinars were happening, and I'm sure there are a number of other people that aren't either.
We had to usually be a lecture, and these volunteers and researchers, in some cases professors, come and present the research. And since September, we've done it. We film them and edit, and then we go on Zoom and we show the video, and then we have a live Q&A afterwards, and that's been pretty popular so far.
This is Thursday evenings.
Last Thursday of the month. In the case of November, because of Thanksgiving, the third Thursday. But we have one coming up next week, a tour. We thought it would be fitting to do a cemetery tour for the Halloween season. So we have a little tour of the Fort Walla Walla Cemetery, where those veterans are buried, and some of the memorials, as well as the Weston Cemetery. And there's actually a really interesting figure buried there in Weston. So I think people will be excited to learn about her.
That's her.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's quite the teaser you're giving us, so that we're really going to have to pay attention to that next Thursday.
Yeah, and the November one is going to be the WASPs of World War II, the Women's Air Force Service pilots, and they shuttled the planes all over the country.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff. So people can find out more about that by going to your website. They can see which ones are coming up.
Yeah, and that's fwwm.org.
Okay, very good. So I can see that you have been really proactive at Fort Walla Walla Museum in finding ways to continue to give the community a real service from the museum, even though you've had the normal activities restricted significantly.
Yeah, and that's our mission, that's our job, discover, preserve, and share our regional heritage. And we've had to figure out ways to share when people are off their normal lives.
Yes.
And we have great supporters, and our members, even though we were closed, almost all our members renewed their membership because they knew, as a nonprofit, we would be in a tight spot, as everyone is really. But
yes.
And so they support us, so we need to give back.
That's really great to hear. So when people do come in person now, are there any different protocols, things people should be aware of?
Yeah, well, come with your mask. Please don't come if you have COVID symptoms, of course.
Of course.
But as far as the museum experience is mostly the same. You come in, we ask you some of the basic questions. Have you had the symptoms? Stuff like
screening.
that. This normal screening. We have a voluntary tracking log if you want to be informed if we have a case, which hasn't happened.
That's good.
And we have our masks, we have the plexiglass and all that. And we, as a staff, we clean all the door handles. Anything that would be touched by visitors, we clean that very thoroughly. So we try to keep it pretty safe. And some of the hands-on exhibits we had to close down, which is unfortunate, but it's safer that way.
For now, anyway. That's how many things are for now.
Yeah.
Hoping that we'll come to the end of that eventually. So talk about plans for the future for Fort Walla Walla Museum.
Well, for now, we're learning more about this digital stuff.
Yes.
And as long as things aren't quite normal, we're going to continue with that. And actually, we can reach a broader audience that way too. We've had people from Rhode Island and California watch these webinars. And we are keeping in mind, though, after COVID, how we're going to use that.
Yeah, I was just wondering if
yeah.
you might find that that's something you want to continue.
Yeah, and some of those things, we might continue streaming some of those things. And these videos that we've put together of exhibits, well, part of that is it preserves the oral history. Like with one video, we interviewed a 104-year-old lady that has some firsthand experience. So that's records we can preserve, and these videos we can also integrate into our in-person exhibits in the future. These audio and visual elements that enrich that.
Yes.
And that can give you sort of a guided tour in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's been quite the silver lining in a way for things that have been enhanced at the museum.
Yeah, well, we try our best, I guess.
So how can people become involved? You mentioned people who are seasoned, how did you put that? They're members.
Members, yeah. Well, that's one of the main ways is become a member, and your benefits to that too include, free admission all year round, a discount at the museum store, and you get a newsletter, a quarterly newsletter, which has some interesting, historical articles in them usually. So members, we always love new members. You can also just visit, just spend a day with your family out there, or volunteer. We love our volunteers. Or right now we're doing our annual fund. If you want to give to that, that would be all very helpful. And really another way too is just for people to preserve their own history and learn more about the local history.
Mm-hmm. To really value
that. Helps us
yes.
That helps us in the long term, and it helps everyone.
Very good. Thank you, Groover. I appreciate you being willing to be interviewed and taking this time to share a lot of really good stuff with us today.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. I'll be right back. Welcome back. It's time now for Station News. And I want to remind you that our fall fundraiser is coming. This is a really exciting time for us at Blue Mountain Television, and I know for you as our viewers and supporters. This is when we all work together to support this ministry at Blue Mountain Television. It's going to be November 9 through 11 in case you didn't jot that down on your calendar yet. So do that. It's going to be in the evenings, 6 to 10 p.m. And our guest will be Randy Maxwell. He's an author, speaker. He's written some wonderful books on prayer and other topics, and I know that you will really appreciate hearing from him during our fall fundraiser. And also, wanted to let you know a couple of programming details. One of them is that the YouView program that we promised for October 21 is actually going to begin on October 28 at 6 p.m. There's been a little delay just because there are some challenges getting all the permissions we need during this COVID-19 era to get productions going and happening. So there's been a small delay on the university side with the students and their permissions there, but everything's good to go now. And so they are going into production this week on the first episodes of that program. So look for it October 28 at 6 p.m. And we also have been producing some new episodes of Daily Bread, and we're really delighted about that. Thanks to you, our viewers who are supporting us and sponsoring programming on the station, we're able to bring you some new episodes of Daily Bread. And that's going to be starting up with the new ones on Friday. So every Friday now, look for new episodes, 6:30 a.m. and 9:30 p.m. And then this is just kind of a note for how our organization runs. Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association has an annual constituency meeting where all the representatives that are a part of our constituency get together to help guide the ministry. And that's going to be taking place on Sunday, November 1. So just wanted to make you aware that good governance is happening at the ministry that you support and that you are looking out for through your donations. And of course, we continue to make plans for our new facility as well and invite your participation either in regular donations for our daily operation at Blue Mountain Television or for Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association and our new facility and the renovations that we are making there. Again, can't emphasize enough that it's all about you and what you are doing for the ministry as we work together under the guidance of God and the Holy Spirit to help people understand and know more about God and about His character of love through television ministry and other ministries that Blue Mountain Television has related to video production and our live streaming and our YouTube channel and our social media and all the ways that we can reach out to others to let them know about God's kingdom. So thank you so much for your prayers for the ministry and for your support. And thank you for watching today. I look forward to seeing you next time.